Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all our viewers. We welcome you to Matters of Life. Here we educate and we create awareness. My name is Mrs. Marylinda Tediku. I'm your host for today. And today we are blessed to have our deaconess here. We are going to treat an important topic, which is marital bond. We are blessed to have our deaconess all the way from London to discuss this topic with. Deaconess, you are welcome. We appreciate your coming. Yeah, you are welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
Great. Okay, before we start, I would like you to tell us what you do, or who you are and what you do. I've mentioned your name, but just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Right, thank you. First and foremost, I'm a proud child of the Most High God. I'm a wife of one husband, and I've got children. I'm a deaconess in the women's ministry and children's ministry. I'm a nurse by profession, clinical practice educator, but my favorite of all is I'm a marriage counselor, and I deal with the youth ministry as well. So
Thank
a
you.
little bit of everything.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank
you.
you so much, Deaconess. Yeah. Okay, so I understand you just launched a book about marital bond. Can you please tell us a little bit about the title of the book, please?
That's right. Yeah, that's about a month ago. I was just contemplating. It dawned on me. I noticed I've been in the marriage ministry for almost 20 years. And I realized that we all marry people we love. But there are so many issues that crop up in marriages that sometimes ends up with separation, divorce. But God, the creator of marriage, who instituted marriage, says he hates divorce. So looking into it, analyzing, I prayed, and the Lord laid on my heart that I need to put together from the experience, witness marriages, and from marriages that we have handled. What can we put together and learn from so that married couples, especially our Christian marriages, will be exemplary, that we will not just marry and survive it, but then we will enjoy it as God, the institutor of marriage, made it.
Excellent. Thank you, Mommy. The title of the book is Cleaving to Climax. It's a very huge title. Can you throw a little bit light about, the topic of the book?
Yes, cleaving to climax. The main thing in the book is the practical steps in building marital bonds. We know learning is ongoing. No one knows it all. Every day is a learning day session. So how married couples can come together, work it together. The cleaving to climax is basically being united and deciding, being intentional. That is one thing that I realized, that married couples need to be intentional about building their marriage so that we will not leave it to whatever happens to it. So that is what it is. But then practically knowing exactly what needs to be done, that the marriage will thrive and be the best of its kind.
Well done. Well done. Well done for the book. What really inspired you to write this book?
Yeah. What inspired me is that I deal with marriages, pre-marriage counseling, and then I have a lot of adopted children in the church, and that discuss their marriage, and also dealing with a lot of marriages with issues here and there. And I noticed that most of the time it's from trivial issues that is not solved right away, and it escalates and become a huge problem that can even end in divorce. So that I realized that we need to write a book in a very simple form that we will all read. It is actually put in a way that is filled with scenarios and practical examples that we can learn from through communication, unity, transparency, and trust for one another, so that all marriages can have something to learn from and take issues right away from the beginning before it becomes a huge problem.
Thank you so much. So the chapter 1 of the book talks about living being prerequisites for cleaving. Please, can you explain that to us?
That's right. The Bible says in Genesis chapter 2, verse 24, that therefore a man shall leave his family, father and mother, and cleave to his wife, and they will become one. What I see here is that many couples, they marry and they still hang on to their old friends, to their family. It doesn't mean that married couples shouldn't have nothing to do with any other person, but then to know the extent, to draw the line, that living that the Bible talks about, knowing what to take to the family and what to handle within the marriage. If not, the marriage issues being handled within, somebody will say, as for me, oh, I don't do anything without telling my mom. Or as for me, so if issue crops up, every marriage have issues that will crop up in one way or the other. Knowing what to take to family, or knowing who certain issues are taken to. That is why we have our pastors, we have marriage counselors, we have noble people among us, trusted people, experienced married couples that can use their experience to advise and guide and lead as coach, married coaches and direct people, instead of taking it to family that will maybe be biased, unconscious bias might come in, or they will see your partner in a different way. Before the problem is solved, they already are embittered with the partner. So that is what that the living comes in. If one need to cleave and be united and build the marriage, then there is this element of living and drawing the line to what can be taken to family and old friends.
Thank you so much. That is the chapter 1. Before I go on the chapter 2, is there anything you want to add to the cleaving bits? I think the second one is intimacy. We're going to go on there. But is there anything you want to add?
Cleaving.
Yeah.
I know. That word cleaving, I realize that, there are ways we communicate, we relate to couples, relate to each other that could be better. For example, like in the morning, couples praying to go out there. Whether 5 minutes or 10 minutes, I see that, the cleaving, you can hug each other as you pray and soak yourself and bless one another. You are dealing with like 3 different issues. Physically, the warmth and that intimacy that comes with the emotional aspect of the intimacy, and also the spiritual aspect. Being intentional is what I normally put it, to make sure that we are handling every aspect of intimacy in the marriage.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much. Very inspiring. Thank you. So the second part is the intimacy. Yeah, the second part. So intimacy is mentioned a lot in the book of the second part. Can you please tell a little bit about the intimacy?
Right. That's right. In the book, actually, intimacy is mentioned a lot. What I realize is that normally when we talk about intimacy, our mind always draws onto the physical aspect of intimacy. But there are about 5 or 6 different types of intimacy. Talk about intellectual intimacy, relational intimacy, recreational intimacy, spiritual intimacy, emotional intimacy. Then the physical intimacy comes in. They are interrelated. Like the example I use, you can, one act can handle about 2 or 3 aspects of it. Couples being intimate, it's like making the time taking the conscious effort, like going for a walk. Couples can decide that every evening, maybe 3 times a week, we go for a stroll, a walk, hold each other's hand, look at one another, eyeball to eyeball, have a chat. The feel good hormones that it produces, it gives you the joy and happiness. And it's also a form of exercise, going for a walk together. So there is intimacy in the book several times, because I see that some couples think about physical intimacy and they forget about recreational one, emotional one, intellectual. Knowing the vision, the goal, what your partner wants to do, and then you also working together with a partner for them to achieve it. Maybe one want to, example, want to study, but you want to also have a family, have 3 children, then you plan it together. If not, you all have different ideas, going different directions, and then at the end, might end up not succeeding. But when you come together, couples come together, plan together, share ideas, share hobbies, as simple as hobbies, watching football together, it takes you to another level and build the happiness and the joy in the marriage.
Thank you. Yeah, I think you have touched on the intimacy, but
Yeah.
is that all the topics? Have you explained the emotional,
Yeah.
the intellectual? Is that is there
That's not
anything more?
all.
Yeah.
Even when we
Can you
take,
explain it, because it will help,
thank
us and
you.
the viewers. So if you can explain them more to us.
That's right. Like emotional intimacy. Sometimes one doesn't feel good, but knowing that your partner shares your feelings. There might be stress at work. You come home knowing that your partner knows what you are feeling, and even when you express it, they're not going to judge you that you like complaining, but they will express that they care, they share your feelings. And then if there is something that you might be lacking or leading you into that, advise you on that. That is emotional intimacy. And the intellectual, physical, the recreational one, and relational one. There might be something that one couple relates to, but the other one can't be bothered. So it is really necessary that we relate to one another's issues, plans, aspirations, and even weakness and strength. Relate to it and know that I know you are not good at this, so I will do this to help support in this area. So it's really important. If I give example, uh, my husband like studying the Bible, and I like talking. So when there is preaching appointments and the rest, he has huge Bibles. He will encourage me. This one will help you with this, the concordance and this and that. So he supports. I might be seen out there all the time talking, but the strength behind what I do is only God knows where it is coming from. But he might not be speaking, but he knows that he doesn't like speaking.
Right.
But then he supports. So you know the strength of the other, and you know what you can do to complement what they are doing to make it work, because we are not competing. We achieve things together for all of us.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that. Thank you so much. So, can marriage survive without intimacy? And what's happened to married couples who live afar, from each other?
Right. Thank you so much. Honestly, marriage will not survive without intimacy. But like we've already talked about, there are various aspects of intimacy. If we had in mind only about physical intimacy, what happens to those who, for some reasons like disease, sickness, issues, shortcomings come in, or situations, bereavement, anything can really bring some intimacy issues. then what happens? But then now that we know that there are various aspects, even I'll blend the two questions you've asked. Married couples living afar, even if one is living far from the other or living apart, now we are so lucky we can have video calls, conference calls. It is just physically touching the person that might be lacking, but then spiritual intimacy can still go on. Praying together, studying the Bible together can still happen. Intellectual intimacy, emotional, all of them can still go on even if the couples are not next to each other. It is only the sexual intimacy or physical aspect of that that might be lacking. That is why there is a chapter in the book that deals with toys. When you mention it, it scares people, but there is some aspect of it. What happens to couples when we talk about maybe sex toys and other things? People, our mind normally goes to a different area, but something like a lady who has had mastectomy, that is radical removal of the breast. Having like breast implant or anything like that can be a form of toy. You can see that as enhancement. Well, I should call it enhancement. It will be better to have a breast implantation, something rather than a flat chest, because you are used to that. And so depends on what is lacking and what can be put in to help. So honestly, intimacy is really important, all aspects of it, for marriage to actually thrive. Thank you.
Thank you. So, which of the sex toys or this and that? Because sometimes in our discussion, people ask, as believers, can we use these things, these sex toys, and this, can you show a little bit like, as you've mentioned the ones that is good. Probably you can mention a few ones that is,
Yeah.
and the ones we don't have to, use at all as
Thank you
believers.
so much. Thank you so much. I will say there is no need going for treatment when you are not sick. When there is no problem, there is no need to explore. God, when it comes to intimacy, sexual intimacy, and satisfaction, thank God, who is so wise, who instituted marriage, has given us a lot of sensitivities in our body. We've got a lot of nerves around the lips, tongue, hands, genitalia, so many areas. If they are functioning, why do you go for artificial or an extra thing? Unless, with age and issues, sickness, problems coming in, instead of couples just determining that, oh, now you are advanced in age, you cannot erect, so let's forget about it. If there is something, there are some of these issues that the medical can deal with it, then let's leave it with the medicals to deal with it. If nothing can be done about it, there are different aspects of toys. What I say here is that because there can be dependency on the toys, and that also leads to lack of solving problems. We know sexual intimacy can be a form of solving problem, having excitement, enjoyment, and then consoling one. And so if one tends to use artificial stuff, and then they don't need the other couple any longer, when there is issues, problems comes, they don't solve it easily, because they can have their food, they can have everything. It is only sexual intimacy that binds the two together, that no one else can give to couples. You can buy food, you can do anything else when it comes up, but sexual intimacy is the only thing out of the rest of the intimacy that should happen. Only no one can help you, only between the couple. So if now one partner so much depends on an enhancer, then become addicted, then if there is a problem, there's argument, then there's no need solving it because they have a way of satisfying themselves. But one thing I say here is that I know many Christians have asked me about this, that is it Christ-like? Is it biblical? Is it acceptable? What I say is that, in that when the Bible was being written, these enhancements, they were not mentioned, not in the scene. So it's not mentioned at all. So I see that the Bible is not against it or in support of it. The use of it depends on mutual understanding, mutual satisfaction, mutual agreement. That helps. If one is against it by their mental, somebody might not approve of it, that is fine. It takes the two couples to agree to fall for it. If only, emboldened, underlined, if only there is a problem that is hindering intimacy. If there is no problem, I don't see the need for the enhancement.
Thank you so much. Yeah. I just want us to throw a little bit light about this, because sometimes we know women are the weaker person and we have to sometimes listen to our husbands as the head. And so if you are a woman, then your husband says, I want to use this enhancement. As a woman, I mean, what can you do? I mean, let's throw a little bit light on that.
Thank you so much. It is very important here. This is where I see mutual understanding coming in. Trust me, research has shown some of them, there's the side effect of it, like it can cause infection, some of them might cause injury, some of them might cause guilt if the other couple does not approve of it. They might feel guilty. Depends on what type of enhancement they are using. They might be guilty using it. Like you were saying, it should not be imposed on anybody. The men, the husbands, have the headship, the authority as God has given to them. However, they listen to the women, being the heart of the family. They have to listen to the women. And we have the intention that you're doing something to satisfy your woman. The woman is also trying to do something to satisfy the man. Therefore, we should not bring in selfishness. So far as your woman agrees and accepts it, even with the physical body aspect, somebody might not be comfortable with fingers. Somebody might not be comfortable with some method of sexuality. It takes communication. It takes research. There are times the couple need to research into it. Someone may have a misconception about one thing, and someone may also have misunderstanding, misinterpretation. It takes the two to work at it instead of imposing on the other. Because at the end of the day, our intention is mutual satisfaction. Research has shown mainly the men, when it comes to physical, sexual intimacy, men, we see that mainly get satisfied. However, if there is mutual discussion and exploration of one another's body and understand each other, there could be mutual satisfaction for both.
Thank
That's
you.
right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
In the book, you mentioned some common marital mistakes and ways to address it. Can you please share a little bit of that?
Thank you. It's quite sad. Most of these common marital mistakes are quite trivial. Like communication. Letting communication, lack of communication escalate to huge problem. There are typical examples in the book, like let's say a man, the husband, is quite tired from work, stress, extended hours of work, and then having in mind that I'm so tired, I'm just going straight to bed. And a wife, it so happens sometimes that is the day you've prepared his favorite dish, and you have in mind just thinking that, oh, I will just meet him with a kiss, sit next to him, don't have eaten my food, or I'm waiting to have this dinner with him. And that is the day he comes in stressed, tired, doesn't want to listen. Probably you get your hello, that's it, and he's going straight to bed. This is a simple thing. Lack of communication. Instead of the husband could say, honey, now it's babes, darling. I'm quite tired and really stressed. I've got headache. I really want to go straight to bed. He goes, oh no, I've made your favorite dish. I know. Thank you so much. But I won't be able to eat it. I just want to go and sleep. This could be the end of it. You will understand why the wife will know why he's not eating that favorite dish. But without that simple step, he goes to bed, the wife will follow on. What have I done? Actually, really? You're not eating. Then the devil
the whole day cooking.
get the chance to speak to the woman. For all you know, maybe he's gone for dinner with his secretary. Then the devil brings idea in. If you do not explain to the other, the devil will give a different interpretation of the actions. And then gradually, well, I don't know what's coming of late. You go back, you go and sleep, he's looking left, you also look right. And then that is the beginning of a huge thing to happen. And it weakens the intimacy and the bond between the two. So it can be common mistakes, not communicating, relating to one another, not being transparent. Let the other one know this is how much I receive, can solve a whole lot of problems. By not explaining, being transparent, the wife might think, oh, I probably he receives this much. I want a yellow shoe. And then you want a green one, you want a red one, he's not affording it. So not being transparent about simple things. And then also keeping friends that the other one does not know. If you have a friend before marrying and you think that friend is not worth introducing to your partner, then you need to draw a line and know how far you go with that friend, because your friends should be my friend and my friend should be your friend. Your family should be my family. Another example is not treating family members well. They could be sometimes a nuisance in a way, poking their nose into everything. But we have to be mindful. If there are issues with the husband's relative, it is the husband that needs to solve it. It is not the lady that needs to go and intervene. And if there is issue that needs to be solved with the lady's relative, the lady, there should be a mutual discussion. You don't go and say, my husband is not happy with this. So you put it in a way that we have realized that we need to have the chance to do this and that, so that you don't end up creating room for your relative to not love your husband or your wife.
Excellent.
There's quite a long list, and most of them are trivia, but without handling them, it escalates, becomes a huge problem that can lead to separation and even divorce.
Thank you so much. Yeah, indeed, communication is a very important role and in our marriage, and we have to learn to communicate. Thank you so much, Mami, for that. Okay, I want you to tell us about RCR. In the book, you mentioned RCR. Can you explain a little bit about?
That's my favorite aspect. RCR, the full name is Rekindling Couples Retreats. And I sometimes call it reviving, rejuvenating, replenishing, reboots, romantic couples retreat. Why do I break that in? How many times we do, what I see here is that we hear about marriage teachings, we go for seminars, spiritual seminars, we hear the advice, counseling, but then it becomes an idea wonder. we fail to put it to practice. And I'll see Rekindling Couples Retreat is a retreat that has been specially designed for couples to work out things that need long-term workout, being intentional, having a discussion. There is a workbook, not like a challenging workbook in class, but then it's put in a romantic way, looking eyeball to eyeballs, discussing what you do best. No one is so bad. Everybody has their strength and what they do well. And so the couple is a time, it's like 2 days, 1 night, 2 days, a time that couples will meet and in that mood, atmosphere, discussing. I really love the way you do this and that. And then sharing, using that moment of praising one another to discuss. And when it comes to this, I think we can do well like that. Work it together, document things, maybe visiting it weekly basis, deciding like every Friday evening, we'll have 1 hour and watch this. And then, 1 hour every morning, we will just have a time of admiring nature and having talks. Something that will build and take the marriage to another level. And then having a long-term goal, vision, planning together. In 5 years' time, where do we want to be? So how do we visit it on monthly basis, annual basis? So that is the Rekindling Couples Retreat. Retreating to reflect and think about what we do best and what we could even do even better to enjoy the marriage.
Wonderful,
Thank you.
wonderful, wonderful. Before I come to my final message, can you talk a little bit about forgiving, couple forgiving each other? I mean,
Yes, thank you so much. That is what I have treated. It's a book that is coming. I've put the information together. Forgiveness is really, really important in marriage because two people close together are the ones that will hurt each other, step on toes. But we are meant to carry on with the journey till the end. The Bible says, till death do us part. So we will step on toes, but it's not meant to end our relationship. We need to learn to accept our shortcomings, our faults, and then to be able to forgive. Forgiveness normally works well. It goes with apologies. Learning how to apologize to one another and then being ready to forgive. I titled the book that Forgiveness, Let Go and Let God Heal the Marriage. So if there is something that your partner has done that you are not happy with, you do not keep it. Express it, as we mentioned, the communication. Discuss it. And then let them also bring the idea, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. This is why I thought. Sometimes one thing that they are doing something good, but the other one sees it negative. And then you discuss it, forgive it. Unforgiveness is like holding fire in your hand and waiting to throw it at somebody who has hurt you. It hurts you more. Research has shown, bitterness, being embittered about issues in the marriage and bearing grudges, it affects our whole physiology, from our mind, mental problems, heart issues, digestive problems. It affects the entire body systems and the organs. So we need to forgive one another so that we always open a new page and bury things behind us. Actually, we cannot forgive it completely, but what happens is that if someone does something that we've forgiven, we should not revisit. We cannot continue to remind the person, 3 days ago you did this. Sometimes we say 10 years ago, remember when I was telling you to do this and you did that? Now you see what has happened. It doesn't help in marriage. Once you forgive them, you have forgiven them. We do not mention it. Otherwise, it opens wounds and it continue to hurt and it will bring heartache. So let us, as we come together, let us forgive one another and be quick in apologizing. Once one express themselves that I'm not pleased with this that you do, so far as, even though you don't have a bad intention, so far as they've opened their mouth and they are offended by it in one way or the other, apologies is what should follow. I'm so sorry about that. I didn't mean to. And then hugs, kisses, that's the physical aspect of intimacy comes in to open door for the emotional intimacy to also conceal it. And then we carry on with our happiness in the marriage. Thank you.
Well done, Mommy. Well done. Before we bring it to an end, I want to give you a few minutes to, finish it up.
Final,
Whatever is the final, message for the public. If there's anything we have not mentioned, and you think our viewers should know.
Right. Thank you so much. What I would say is that God created marriage. You know, marriage is the only institution. We have prisons, we have universities, we have so many institutions. Marriage is the only institution that was ordained, initiated by the Creator Himself. He's got the manual, He's got everything to it, and it's in the Bible. Any challenge in marriage, the Bible will give us ideas about it. We should not hesitate in approaching counselors and ministers when we are facing a challenging to solve it. But then we all marry people we love. We have to carry on when challenges come in and put God at the triangle, top of the triangle of marriage, to hold us together. If He is at the center, He will hold us together tight, and we will not just survive the marriage, but marriage is sweet to the end. We will enjoy it as God created it or made it for us.
Wow.
Thank you so much.
Wow.
Thank you.
We are really, we've been inspired by, everything that you have taught us tonight, and I believe that we'll put it into practice. Digest it, listen to it more and more, and then, put it into practice. And I believe it will help us as believers to move on with our marriages. God bless you so much, Mommy. I'm so privileged to have you tonight. Coming all the way from London, leaving everything you are doing to be with us today. I want to thank you so much for being here tonight.
It's a
God
pleasure.
really bless you.
It's a pleasure. Finally, everybody go grab Cleaving to Climax.
That's it. I was going to say
practical steps in deepening marital bonds. Your marriage might be deep, but even deepen it.
Right.
Get one and get one for somebody, and bless all marriages. God bless you.
Amen. So where can we find the book? I mean, if somebody
Amazon.
wants the book, Amazon. Okay.
Bookshelves. You can get some from major bookstores, and it's on Amazon as well. And sometimes I have some in some local.
Right.
So it's easy.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you so much. This is how far we can bring our program, and I believe you have learned it a lot. I believe you have been inspired. And as our mommy said, the book is there. If you want to know more, you can buy the book and read. And I believe you'll be blessed by the book. We want to thank all our viewers for watching us. Please, if you are blessed with the program, subscribe, share, and like, and let others also be blessed with the program. We want to thank all our media team. They are doing very, very well. We say God bless you so much for your hard work. God bless you all. See you in our next episode. My name is Mrs. Mary Linda Tedeku. God bless you.